Good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. Now, friends, we live in a world that's slipping away into constant uncertainty and danger. Imagine if something unthinkable happens tomorrow. Within hours, global supply chains can break down and never start up again. We've learned that lesson the hard way. And that means the smart thing to do is prepare for the worst, even if the peanut butter hasn't hit the fan yet. You should store emergency food to get you through whatever happens next. We highly recommend My Patriot Supply, America's largest emergency preparedness company. Act now and save $50 off their popular 4-week emergency food kit, which contains an abundance of delicious food that provides over 2,000 calories a day. Every person in your family should have one of these. Your shipment will arrive quickly in an unmarked box. Go to preparewithjericho.com and save $50 on each 4-week food kit you purchase. That's preparewithjericho.com. To avoid being a victim and survive the upcoming uncertainty, preparewithjericho.com. Now, before I get all up in this topic like a bike with no seat, I gotta say what's up to my girl Candace. I ran into Candace and her boyfriend this weekend out and about in town with my best friend and his son and my son. She came up and spoke to me. I really appreciate that. She voiced her support for my channel and all my goings on. I really appreciate that, Candace. Good looking out. People, don't worry. There are good Americans still out there. Now, you've all heard about this Joe Rogan nonsense with him getting in trouble for some, well, first of all, he went against the grain. He dare get somebody on there with a different opinion than what's being pushed by the mainstream mediocres and our leaders. Leaders, always, you know, you, like some stomach acid or stomach bile will come up and it kind of burns the back of your throat. That's how it feels when I call them leaders. Anyway, it's being pushed by everybody. So we had a couple doctors on there and the mainstream mediocres did not like it. So that's what started them on Joe Rogan's trail. That's what gave them, what really got them on his scent. Now, other things have happened in the recent past, but this really put him in their crosshairs. So he does that. And then, so of course, now that they're after him, now that they've picked up his scent, now that they've gotten a piece of his clothing and rubbed it in the nose of those mainstream mediocre, you must be canceled hound dogs. Get him, boy. You know, he gave him a scent and they let him loose to the swamp. Now they're on to Joe Rogan. So now they get to digging. They get to looking for past transgressions. And Joe Rogan has been doing his podcast for years, at least 10 years, 12 years, been on TV, all that kind of stuff, various shows. What was that? Was that News Radio, that sitcom he used to be on? It was really funny. But he's been out there for a while, so he's created a lot of content, which means he's said a lot of things. And if you know anything about his podcast, they can run into 3, 4, 5 hours. That's a lot of talking. So Joe Rogan made the mistake of seeing things through the lens of common sense, being able to distinguish between what's a joke and what's an insult. That's his fatal mistake. So over the years, he has quoted people who have used the N-word, comedians. He even talks about Richard Pryor, named one of his, had that word was in one of his albums. He was peppered all through his comedy. I grew up listening to him and all these other people's song lyrics, whatever. When he said the word, he was quoting it. So I guess you can't quote people anymore. You can't say what they said. You only have to have your own thoughts. You cannot talk about what somebody else said, apparently, because he's quoting people. He never said it joking with some of his black friends. He never said it in conversation with anyone else. He always said it as a quote, or if he was talking about the word in that context, like, let's talk about this word. Can't do that. So what Joe did, he made the mistake of apologizing. Wah, wah, wah. Somebody get a trumpet, find a mountaintop, and start playing taps on Joe Rogan's time. At least, maybe his career, but at least start playing taps on his time at Spotify, because the CEO of Spotify is a weak little Charmin soft handshake, deep V-neck t-shirt wearing bitch. So he's not going to get any back up there. So this could be the end of his time there, at least, if not his career. So, dun, 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 that's it. Put the veil over your face. You cannot apologize. You cannot give anything. I remember as a kid, my mom used to get me this magazine called 321 Contact. And it was a science magazine. It had these things called factoids in there. Little, did you know? That kind of stuff. The kind of shit you see when you look on a Snapple cap. And I remember one of the facts was a great white shark can smell a single drop of blood in 1 million gallons of water. So what Joe Rogan just did, he took some of his own blood, went to the social ocean, and went, doop, put a drop of his blood in the water. It's over. They don't stop at that apology. You ever been really hungry? I remember when I was young, in my early 20s. I was hungry, real hungry. Hadn't eaten in a while. And things start looking good. So if you're starving, stomach rumbling, my dad would call those missed meal cramps. Your stomach's rumbling. You haven't eaten in a long time. Shit, that's starting to look good. So if someone takes you to a buffet, you're just going to get one little thing and go, that's it, I'm good. No, you're going to gorge yourself until you're sick. It reminds me of a story. I'll get to that in a second. If you have a pack of ravenous hyenas starving, you can see the ribs a little bit. You can start to see a little bit of their hip muscles in the back. Or I'm sorry, the hip bones in the back. It's been a few weeks. They're constantly on the hunt for something to eat. So they come across this wildebeest howling in the throes of death. Do you think that pack of starving hyenas, remember, we can see the ribs. Do you think they're going to go up to that carcass and line up and go, one bite for me, I'm good, guys? No. They're going to stick their snouts face deep in that carcass and gorge themselves until they're sick. And like my dad would say, full as a tick. Sweatpants status. That's what they're going to do. And that's what the mainstream mediocres and the powers that be are going to do to Joe Rogan for apologizing. He said, oh, I shouldn't have used that word. And looking back at it, it was so bad. And I shouldn't have done that. And I'm sorry. Damn it, Joe. Why'd you do that? Why did you give them a win? And he's kind of one of those guys that because he has all kinds of different people, all kinds of different beliefs, different backgrounds. That was somewhere you could go to see it right down the middle. Because he's not a conservative. He's not a full-blown, purple-haired liberal, lefty. He's not that either. You could go to him and get it right down the middle. See a variety of different guests. No problem. But now there's a problem because he apologized. He sacrificed himself. He neutered himself at the altar of the crazy ass lefties. And they won't have it any other way. They will have more blood. They will have all of your blood. Joe, they want it all. They're not stopping at that one drop. That's not enough. That's just the taste. That's just the tip. That's just the helmet. You still got to get this shaft. You still got to get this veiny, mainstream, mediocre, crazy-ass lefty shaft. So I don't know if you want to get a tongue depressor to bite down on, a rolled-up rag or something, or maybe you're just going to raw dog it and not have nothing at all and just take it. I don't know, Joe, but here they come. And it really sucks to see somebody like that, somebody with such a platform. Spotify paid that man $100 million. Damn a Lee Majors. Damn a $6 million man. Joe Rogan was $100 million man. And bent over and they took that paddle and wore his ass out. He has Spotify mainstream mediocre welts all over his ass. Damn it, Joe. So that is the beginning of the end for Joe Rogan. It's a slow death, but it's going to be a death. And that's real shitty for those of us who enjoy his content. But that's going to have a ripple effect. Because if they can take down somebody like Joe Rogan, whose numbers, his downloads and views shit all over CNN, MSNBC, any of them. You can take all their viewers from their hottest show, from the hottest host at their peak time, put them together, multiply it by 5, and it won't even touch where Joe Rogan's at with his viewership. But that's all about to change. Because if they can take someone down that big who had no strings attached and now attach a bunch of strings to his ass, that's going to suck for everybody else. You're going to see, and they've already started pulling some of his episodes. They pull over 100 episodes. Another thing, for the people who pay for the subscription, you pay for all of it. You want all that Rogan content where you got 100 and some podcasts less. That's real shitty, man. It sucks to see. But as crazy as this stuff gets, as crazy as a capitulation gets, the pendulum must swing the other way. It must. It's the law of the land. It's the law of science. Real science, not that bullshit that changes according to what they need the narrative to be. It will swing back the other way. And the truth will be back on top. I just can't wait. But I tell you one thing, after this bullshit apology, Rogan will not be there when it does swing back the other way. Now, what I must do is swing my ass in the house and get it done and go to my beautiful wife and kids. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. Please subscribe. Hit that notification bell, because every time it rings, a piece of shit lefty cries. Utilize the Linktree link. Get your ass over to JerichoGreen.net. I am Jericho Green. Man, I'm out.